Hello, Leominsterites. This is your state representative, Natalie Higgins, coming to you, zooming in from my State House office on Friday, June 23rd, because we really wanted to update you. Many of you may have heard about the planned closure of the birthing center at Leominster Hospital. And I wanted to make sure, because the timeline is moving so quickly, the process around this closure lasts 120 days, the oversight process. I wanted to make sure we didn't miss a chance to alert you for what's at stake and what's ahead of us. If you didn't get the news, in late March, the Friday before Memorial Day weekend, Leominster Hospital announced its plan to close the labor and delivery unit, the birthing center at Leominster Hospital. And there is a 120-day process that the Department of Public Health oversees, meaning that the unit will be able to close on September 22nd, and the hospital intends to close the unit on September 22nd. As we understand, and we continue to work with Leominster Hospital to understand what challenges they're facing and how they came to this decision, overwhelmingly, we are told that this is a staffing challenge and a staffing crisis, and that it is not a financial decision. These are solvable problems if we want to solve them. We are, a mighty little gateway city, but we're really resourceful. And often I call Leominster scrappy, right? We know how to turn few resources into a whole lot of good. And we are twin gateway cities, Leominster and Fitchburg, that utilize this labor and delivery unit. And with the surrounding area, that's over 100,000 people with close to 600 births a year at this center. And from the data that we've received from Leominster Hospital, we understand that Leominster Hospital continues to be the largest birthing center and provider for North Central Mass families and families from outside of the region across North Central Mass. And we're really dismayed, the entire legislative delegation, about the hospital's plan to just have families get to Gardner or Worcester or Emerson Hospital in Concord. For too many families, that is just too far. For too many of our families in our gateway cities who don't have access to reliable transportation, that is impossible. And we know how critical these essential services are. Some of you may remember back in 2018, we faced these challenges and these kinds of closures with the inpatient pediatric unit and the cardiac and pulmonary rehab. Many of you probably were in the room for the essential services hearing, where we shared our stories and our concerns with the Department of Public Health about why these services were so essential, about the harm that I was worried was going to come to Leominster families who were given the impossible choice of being with one sick kiddo at Worcester in the hospital and making sure their other kids were okay at home. There isn't reliable public transit between Leominster and Worcester, and that is a huge challenge for anyone just trying to get to a regular doctor's appointment, never mind someone in an emergency situation in labor, possibly well before your due date when something is going wrong. And so it's really on all of us to lift up our stories. I am so proud of how much Leominster and Fitchburg and the surrounding towns have stepped up. I'm a proud birth from Leominster Hospital back in 1988. And I know so many of my friends have had their kiddos there. And so many families are continuing to give birth at Leominster Hospital, close to 600. And so there's a few steps coming up. This past Tuesday, there was a public hearing on a bill that looks to solve this problem statewide, to make sure that when a hospital service is deemed essential to the community and critical to the community, that we can't just close it in 120 days, that we actually take a year and give the community more tools to come up with better solutions to maintain those services. But the clock is ticking down to September 22nd, and we're awaiting the announcement of the essential service hearing by the Department of Public Health. We anticipate it's going to happen sometime in the middle of July. It has to happen before July 24th. So we think it's going to happen sometime between July 17th and July 24th. And we will have 3 weeks notice, and we will continue to spread the word to make sure that you know how to show up and how to make your voice heard in this hearing. But in the meantime, the community is coming together, and we really want to make sure that no one is alone in this, and that folks are working together and connecting with one another in protecting our community. And so there are some pretty incredible community leaders coming together and holding space next Thursday, June 29th, at the Leominster Synagogue, 268 Washington Street. I'm going to put a flyer. I'm going to ask the Leominster Access TV folks to help me get this flyer up on this episode. So June 29th from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Leominster Synagogue, 268 Washington Street. This is a place where you can get more information. You can connect with more community partners who are worried about this, with providers who are worried about this, with community leaders, and figure out ways for us to come together to urge the UMass Memorial Health System to reverse this decision and maintain these critical services here in Leominster. I am really, really hopeful for what we can pull together in these twin cities, in the city of Leominster, to make sure that we say not again, that we need these services here. And I know that we can do this together, and we really have to band together to say to the hospital, let's solve the problem. Let's figure this out. But we really need to make sure that these 600 families can continue to give birth at Leominster Hospital every year and continue to have this access. If you have questions, if you want to get involved, you can always reach out to our office directly, and we're happy to connect you with other folks who are working on this. You can always reach me on my at my Leominster office, 978-227-5278. You can email me at natalie.higgins@mahouse.gov. And I hope to see you at this community meeting to save the birthing center on June 29th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at 268 Washington Street, the Leominster Synagogue. Thank you so much, and hope to see you soon.